These noodles are so delicious that everyone always asks me for the recipe. So here it is. Start with the noodles. We're going to add boiling water to a saucepan. And you want to use very hot water to just make the cooking a little bit easier. Now add 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to add pasta, 250 grams of pasta. And just let the pasta cook for 10 to 15 minutes. Now we're going to prepare the meat while cooking the noodles. So go ahead and add some oil to a pan. Then add 2 chopped garlic cloves, 1 chopped onion, and just saute these ingredients over medium heat. Now you're going to add 500 grams of ground beef and just saute the meat with your seasoning. Now when the meat begins to change colors like this, it is time to season. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1 spoonful of paprika, and now just stir to season that meat. Wow, the meat smells so wonderful. So after sauteing really well, we're going to add the other ingredients. We're going to add 1 chopped green bell pepper, and then half of a red bell pepper, also chopped, 2 chopped tomatoes, half of a chopped yellow bell pepper, and olives. And then just stir everything together again. And when you've sauteed all of the spices, it is almost ready. We're just going to add 300 grams of tomato sauce. You can see how delicious this is. I love the taste of this meat so much. The tip here is to really let it cook for a few minutes. It's going to get so fragrant and flavorful, and then it is ready. So go ahead and turn the heat off and set aside. And now with the noodles ready, we are just going to remove the water and now add the noodles to a large bowl. You want to spread it out well in that bowl and then add the meat sauce on top. Wow, it smells so wonderful. So this is quick, easy, and practical noodles. And then just with the help of 2 forks, you just want to mix all of these ingredients really well. After mixing, our meat and the noodles are almost ready. We're just going to finish with a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. The cheese just gives the pasta a nice, rich, salty taste. It's definitely worth adding Parmesan or mozzarella. And that's it. Your recipe is ready. Should we go ahead and try it? Serve this on a plate and enjoy. I guarantee you that the taste of this sauce will win your heart. Enjoy. Okay, cooks, add half a cup of vinegar to your milk. Now before this, boil 3 quarts of milk. And after adding the vinegar, just stir until all the milk curdles. This process will be very fast. As you can see, my milk has already curdled, so it's super fast. And then next, you're going to just turn off the heat and pour the liquid into a strainer to strain. Calmly, so you don't burn yourself, remove the water. Just remove all the water from the milk. And now with the help of a spoon, press the mixture with a spoon or spatula. This way, all the water will come out and it will be very dry without any liquid. And my recipe is ready. This step is very fast. So now we're just going to put all the dough together in the blender. Now, I don't buy cream cheese in the market anymore. I make my own cream cheese at home. It's easy enough. And I love this recipe. And this way too, you save time and you save money. Now to help the batter, just go ahead and add a small amount of milk. The batter can get very heavy and thick, so the milk just helps the batter loosen up a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. And just add 1 pinch of salt. Now cover and beat everything until it is very well mixed. If you notice that your blender is not beating the mixture, just add some more milk. Just a little liquid will help with that. Okay, and after mixing very well, this is the result. Now put all the mixture in a container to take to the refrigerator. And I'm telling you, don't buy cottage cheese anymore. Make cottage cheese at home. You can see what a fantastic result this is. And besides being simple, it's super cheap. You're going to be surprised at the result of this recipe. So take the recipe to the fridge for just a few hours so that the curd will be firmer than it is. Shall we try it?
If you have corn and milk at home, you've got to try this recipe. We're going to start by adding 2 tablespoons of oil into a pot. Add in 1 cup of popcorn. And some salt. Using a spatula, stir all these ingredients well. Now I haven't turned the heat on in my pan yet. It's really important that you mix everything together first. After mixing everything together well, let's turn the heat on to medium. This recipe is delicious. Once the popcorn has started to pop, you're going to want to put a cover on. Our popcorn's almost ready. Let's go ahead and set this aside for now. In a saucepan, I'm going to add half a cup of sugar. Melt this well and be careful not to burn yourself because it gets really hot. And melt this down until a caramel forms. It's always important to cook caramel on a nice low heat. After the sugar has dissolved, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. And very carefully give this a stir. And you can just see how cool this looks. The texture has already changed. We're now going to add half a cup of milk. But when you're adding the milk, you just want to add it little by little and stir constantly. Don't stop stirring. Turn the heat back on and stir constantly. Finish with the rest of that milk. And you can just see how absolutely beautiful the caramel looks. This is the ideal point for the caramel. Go ahead and turn off the heat, and we're going to transfer the caramel with our popcorn. The taste of this popcorn will surprise you. Mix the popcorn with the caramel just like this. And this recipe is so popular with kids. Your children will just love this one. Perfect for watching a movie or a TV show. And just like that, our recipe is ready. Transfer this to a serving bowl and call your family to enjoy this with you. But be very careful because it is still piping hot. Now I like to finish by adding some powdered milk on top. Delicious. Our recipe is ready. I hope you make this at home. Bon appetit.
Invite the family over because this recipe is perfect. So start this recipe by separating 1 loaf of bread. And then with a knife, you're just going to cut out all of the crumbs. This recipe also works if you want to use baguette as well. And then just squeeze until a large hole forms in the middle of the loaf. Now add the piece of bread that you've cut into a mold. In all, I cut 8 loaves total for my family. And then add 1 spoonful of cream cheese inside each loaf. This is easy, and the cream cheese is going to make our recipe so tasty. Now, after finishing, just set aside to continue the recipe. We're going to separate 200 grams of ham and 200 grams of mozzarella cheese. Now it's time to cut the ham and cheese into small cubes. So this process is very quick and very simple. There's really no secret, just easy cuts. And add all of the pieces to a larger bowl. And you're going to love the taste of this recipe. It is so, so good. My family loves this recipe. They are always asking me to make it. Now we're going to add 2 chopped tomatoes after adding the ham and cheese. Then 200 grams of cream cheese. I love the taste of this filling too. My family and friends, they're always asking me for the recipe, so here it is. And now all you have to do is mix it into a super creamy filling. So I add super creamy ricotta cheese and just mix patiently, and it's going to turn into a lovely creamy filling. Now this is the texture that we are looking for. You can add some onion and parsley if you prefer, and it's going to be so super tasty. Now just fill each bun with this creamy filling. You can see how pretty it looks. It looks so good. And this recipe is so easy that when everyone's asking you to make it, you'll want to cook it every day. So then finish with some mozzarella cheese on top to make the recipe even tastier. I love the taste of this bread so much. You can also substitute the flavor of the bread if you prefer. And just add as much cheese as you like. And then finish with some oregano. Look at that. This is easy and quick and perfect. So now we're just going to bake until the cheese is nice and melted. And once it is, our recipe is ready. See how tasty that looks? Wow. This is a perfect recipe, and it's super crispy. And that filling is just creamy and perfect. So this is stuffed bread, the perfect family recipe. The taste of this ham and cheese filling, it is surreal and delicious. I'm telling you, it's impossible to eat just one piece of this recipe. So cooks, we're going to start the recipe by cutting an onion. You just want to cut that onion right in half and make small cuts in, I'd say, 6 onions. Now, when you've finished, go ahead and separate the onion pieces and put them in a bowl and then cover with plastic wrap. Now we are just going to place in the microwave for 2 minutes until the onions are nice and soft. So after those 2 minutes, you're just going to remove the plastic wrap. And as you can see, our onions are now super soft, so this is perfect. Next, we're just going to carefully remove the onion skins. This is an easy step, but you just have to be careful not to break them. So just do it with caution. And of course, the onions are also hot, so just be careful not to burn yourself. Now go ahead and set aside these larger pieces in a bowl. And the next step is to prepare the sauce. So we're going to start by adding 400 grams of chicken, 1 grated carrot, 1 onion, and 1 tablespoon of salt. Then add black pepper, 1 spoon of paprika, and just mix everything together. Now, once you've finished, you want to just separate your onions. And then next, you're going to add a spoonful of filling inside your onion skins. And you want to squeeze carefully, and this is the result. Now, after finishing with all of them, our recipe is almost ready. Next up, we are just going to add 1 tablespoon of salt, some black pepper, paprika, and finish with 2 tablespoons of sugar, 100 milliliters of olive oil, and just mix everything together really, really well. And once finished, our sauce is now ready. So, carefully add the onions to a dish with the sauce, just like that. And when finished, place in a bowl. Now, in the rest of the sauce, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of honey, 100 milliliters of water, and then just mix everything together until all is dissolved. Now, add the contents on top of your onions. The spiciness of the sauce just makes this recipe so tasty and so special. Now cover with aluminum foil. And next, we're just going to pop this in the oven. You want to bake it for about 1.5 hours. After that time, the onions are ready, and wow, I mean, see how pretty it looks? It's so pretty. So just remove a piece and serve on a plate. I'm so excited to taste this. Shall we try it? Wow, it's perfect, and it is super tasty.
I've never had such tasty tomatoes. I'm going to show you how to cook them. So we're going to start by adding 1 tablespoon of margarine to a pan. Let that melt. We're now going to add some slices of tomato right on top of that melted margarine. Now you can add as many tomato slices as will fit in your pan. I've sliced 2 tomatoes here. And we're just going to let these cook until they get nice and soft. I love this recipe so much. We're going to fry these tomatoes at a nice low temperature. And then once they become soft, we're going to turn each slice over so we can cook the other side. And again, we're just going to leave these on a low heat to cook. Let's leave these to fry, and we're going to continue with our recipe. Now, we want to be careful not to burn these tomatoes either. Oh, my kitchen smells so good. All right, let's prepare the eggs for the next step in our recipe. So I've got a bowl here. I'm going to add 3 eggs. Some salt for seasoning. I'm also going to add in some parsley. Now you add as much parsley as you like. And let's mix this well. Looking good. We're now going to add this egg mixture right on top of those tomatoes we're cooking. Delicious. We're now going to add some chopped ham. Now, you're welcome to use chopped ham for this part. If you like chicken or bacon, that would be great here too, whatever you prefer, but I just prefer to add ham. Spread that ham all over the eggs. And the ham really does give our recipe a super special flavor. Let's go ahead and cover this and let it cook for a few minutes. And our recipe is almost ready. We can't forget about the most delicious ingredient, which is cheese. Now, I prefer adding mozzarella. I find mozzarella the tastiest, but you can add whatever cheese you like. I love this recipe. It is so delicious. And my kids love this egg recipe too. It's such a winner. All right, we've got our sliced cheese on top. We're going to add some oregano and just put a cover on that and let the cheese get nice and melted. All right, our cheese is melted. This looks absolutely incredible. Look how beautiful this is. All that's left to do now is serve it on a plate and call your family over so they can enjoy this with you. My mouth is watering so much now. This is a delicious, juicy egg recipe. Let's give it a taste. Incredible. Bon appetit. This cake might seem impossible to make, but it's not, and I'll show you how to make it. Okay, to start, I've got half a cup of sugar and I'm just melting it down into a caramel. Once it looks like this, I'm going to be adding in half a cup of water and it's going to start to bubble up. Now that it's done, I'm going to add it into a pan, and using a spatula, I'm just going to scrape it up onto the sides of the pan. Next, I'm going to take 4 whole eggs. I'm going to add a can of condensed milk, and I'm also going to add in 30 ounces of milk. All right, adding our milk in there and using a whisk, I'm going to mix this together really, really well. So here we're actually making a pudding. So it's going to start to look like this when it's all incorporated together. Now that that step is done, I'm going to take our pudding and I'm going to very gently pour it onto our pan. So this caramel is actually already pretty cooled off. Caramel loses heat pretty fast, so this isn't going to mix together too much. All right, now that that is all poured on top, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start making our cake. Okay, so for our batter, we're going to use 2 eggs, put them in the bowl. I have half a cup of sugar. I've got half a cup of milk. We're also going to add 6 tablespoons of oil and 6 spoonfuls of chocolate. So this is 50% cocoa. Okay, now we're going to take our whisk and we're going to mix everything really well. You need to make this cake at home. It's so delicious. I guarantee you're going to impress people with this recipe. It's amazing and not that hard to make. Okay, now I'm going to be adding 1 cup of flour and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Again, mix everything really well using your whisk. Just be patient, trust the process, continue stirring. All right, it's going to start to come together and look so chocolatey and delicious. This is the ideal point of what we want this to look like. Okay, so now that we've got this all mixed together, I'm going to take this over to our pudding that we just added to our caramel, and gently, using a spatula, I am going to very, very carefully put this on top. Be very careful and trust the process. I promise you, it is going to be delicious. The smell of the pudding with the chocolate is so yummy. Now I'm just taking aluminum foil here to cover everything. Aluminum foil is great for cooking and it prevents water from getting into our dough. Okay, so this is all covered here. Now I'm going to take this over and I'm going to add it into a larger pan. And I'm going to pour water about halfway up the pan. Okay, now that our water is added, we're going to bake this for 1.5 hours at 355 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Taking off our aluminum foil. Oh, look how beautiful this looks. I'm just using a skewer to make sure our cake is cooked and it's looking really good. Okay, now I'm going to take our cake and I'm going to put this in the fridge for 2 hours. It is really important that we let this cool down completely before we take it out of the pan. So now our cake has been cooled and I'm going to use a plate to unmold our cake. I'm going to flip it over. This is such a fun part. Just be careful. And we're going to do the big reveal. Oh my goodness. Look how beautiful that is. We've got our pudding, we've got our caramel, we've got our chocolate cake. It is just such a gorgeous cake. And these flavors go together so well, not to mention the different textures we've got going on here. All right, I'm gonna cut into this and show you what it looks like and we're gonna give it a try. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Look at that. Look at the layers. It is such a gorgeous cake. I really hope you try this one at home. This dessert is made with just 2 ingredients. When I make it at home, it's ready in just a few minutes. So to start this recipe, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar to a pan, and we're going to be making a caramel. So using a spatula here, I'm just going to stir our sugar around, and it's going to start to melt and become very smooth. We're going to stir until the sugar is well melted and our caramel is going to start to form. So stir well so we can melt these little pieces of sugar here, just like this. It's a process, it's boring, but it's necessary. So my sugar is completely melted here, and now I'm going to be adding in half a cup of water, just like this. Be careful not to burn yourself. So you're going to keep stirring. You can't stop stirring because if you stop, the caramel will burn. All right, so our caramel is ready. It looks like this. Our sugar has melted completely and it's bubbling up nicely. Now we're going to turn our pan off and I'm going to pour this caramel into a baking pan, just like this, being very gentle. Now we don't want it to cool, so we have to work quickly. Now using my mold, I'm just gonna move it around to try and get some of the caramel up on the edges just like this. And be careful not to burn yourself here. You can also use a spatula just like this to help you out. And we wanna try and spread as much caramel around our mold as possible. All right, moving on to the next step, I've got an egg here and using a spoon, I'm going to very carefully remove the yolk from the whites and I'm going to place it into another bowl. And I'm going to transfer the egg white into a larger bowl, just like this. And you want to be careful when you're removing the yolk from the white to not break the yolk. So you're going to repeat this process with all of your eggs here. So I've got all of my whites in a bowl. And now that I've got them added, I'm going to start whisking until the egg whites become stiff. I'll show you what it looks like in just a moment. All right, so this is what we want our egg whites to look like. This is the point we've reached. And now I'm going to be adding in 3/4 of a cup of sugar and just adding it little by little. And I'm going to beat it again. All right, looking just like this. And this is the consistency we're going after. So I'm going to keep adding in my sugar. All right. My sugar is starting to get nice and incorporated. And now I'm going to be adding in a little bit of vanilla essence. And I'm going to beat it again with my mixer. All right, now that everything is mixed and beaten very well, I'm going to add these egg whites into our mold that we put our caramel in. So just using a spoon, I'm going to carefully place it in little by little. This is starting to look so good, just like this. You can use a spatula to help, just like I'm using here. And we're going to use our spatula and we're going to spread our egg whites around just like this. And once our egg whites are spread around, I'm going to take this into a baking pan and I'm going to fill the baking pan until it reaches about halfway up the baking mold with water. So it's going to look something like this. And now I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And this is the result. Let's cut a piece to see what the texture looks like. Look how beautiful this turned out.